Iceland is a Nordic island country of Europe located in the North Atlantic Ocean. It has a population of 332,529 and is the most sparsely populated country in Europe. The capital and largest city is Reykjavik, and the surrounding areas in the southwest of the country are home to over two-thirds of the population. The island is volcanically and geologically active. The interior consists of a plateau characterized by sand and lava fields, mountains and glaciers. While many glacial rivers flow to the sea through the lowlands, Iceland is warmed by the Gulf Stream and has a temperate climate, despite a high latitude just outside the Arctic Circle. Its high latitude and marine influence keep summers chilly, with most of the archipelago having a tundra climate. The climate of Iceland's coast is subarctic. The warm North Atlantic current ensures generally higher annual temperatures than in most places of similar latitude in the world. Regions in the world with similar climates include the Aleutian Islands, the Alaska Peninsula, and Tierra del Fuego, although these regions are closer to the equator. Despite its proximity to the Arctic, the island's coasts remain ice-free through the winter. Ice incursions are rare, the last having occurred on the north coast in 1969. The climate varies between different parts of the island. Generally speaking, the south coast is warmer, wetter, and windier than the north. The central highlands are the coldest part of the country. Low-lying inland areas in the north are the most arid. Snowfall in winter is more common in the north than the south. A geologically young land, Iceland is located on both the Iceland hotspot and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which runs right through it. This location means that the island is highly geologically active with many volcanoes, notably Hekla, Eldgjá, Hurðubrith, and Eldfell. The volcanic eruption of Loki in 1783 to 1784 caused a famine that killed nearly a quarter of the island's population. In addition, the eruption caused dust clouds and haze to appear over most of Europe and parts of Asia and Africa for several months afterward, and affected climates in other areas. Iceland is unusually suited for waterfalls. This small island country has a North Atlantic climate that produces frequent rain and snow and a near-Arctic location that produces large glaciers, whose summer melts feed many rivers. As a result, it is home to a number of large and powerful waterfalls. Gullfoss is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Iceland. The Gullfoss River rushes southward, and about a kilometer above the falls it turns sharply to the right and flows down into a wide curved three-step staircase and then abruptly plunges in two stages. 11 meters and 21 meters into a crevice 32 meters deep. The crevice, about 20 meters wide and 2.5 kilometers in length, extends perpendicular to the flow of the river. The average amount of water running down the waterfall is 140 cubic meters per second in the summer and 80 cubic meters per second in the winter. The highest flood measured was 2,000 cubic meters per second. As one first approaches the falls, the edge is obscured from view, so that it appears that the river simply vanishes into the earth. During the first half of the 20th century and some years into the late 20th century, there was much speculation about using Gullfoss to generate electricity. During this period, the waterfall was rented indirectly by its owners, Thomas Thomason and Halldór Halldórsson, to foreign investors. However, the investors' attempts were unsuccessful, partly due to lack of money. The waterfall was later sold to the state of Iceland, and is now protected. Sigurður Tómasdóttir, the daughter of Thomas Thomason, was determined to preserve the waterfall's condition and even threatened to throw herself down. Although it is widely believed, the very popular story that Sigurður saved the waterfall from exploitation is untrue. A stone memorial to Sigurður, located above the falls, depicts her profile cave. After a phase of inactivity, geysers started erupting again after a series of earthquakes in 2000. Geyser has since grown quieter and does not erupt often. With the widespread availability of geothermal power, and the harnessing of many rivers and waterfalls for hydroelectricity, most residents have access to inexpensive hot water, heating, and electricity. The island is composed primarily of basalt, a low silica lava associated with effusive volcanism, as has occurred also in Hawaii. Iceland, however, has a variety of volcanic types, composite and fissure, many producing more evolved lavas such as rhyolite and andesite. Iceland has hundreds of volcanoes with about 30 active volcanic systems. Iceland has many geysers, including geyser, from which the English word is derived, and the famous Styrkur, which erupts every 8 to 10 minutes. Skogafoss is a waterfall situated on the Skoga River in the south of Iceland at the cliffs of the former coastline. After the coastline had receded seaward, the former sea cliffs remained parallel to the coast over hundreds of kilometers, creating together with some mountains a clear border between the coastal lowlands and the highlands of Iceland. The Skogafoss is one of the biggest waterfalls in the country, with a width of 15 meters and a drop of 60 meters. Due to the amount of spray the waterfall consistently produces, a single or double rainbow is normally visible on sunny days. According to legend, the first Viking settler in the area and buried a treasure in a cave behind the waterfall. The legend continues that locals found the chest years later, but were only able to grasp the ring on the side of the chest before it disappeared again. The ring was allegedly given to the local church. The old church door ring is now in the Skoga Museum. Thangler is a favorite stop among travelers along the Golden Circle route. It has been a national park in Iceland since 1930 and was named a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 2004. When Viking settlers arrived in the 10th century, it was the site they chose as the meeting place of all things. the world's oldest parliament. Thangvellir is notable for its unusual tectonic and volcanic environment in a rift valley. The continental drift can clearly be seen in the cracks or faults which traverse the region. At Almannagjá, one of these faults on the west side of the plain, you can see the easternmost edge of the North American tectonic plate, which is normally submerged in the Atlantic Ocean. On the east side at the Hidargja Gorge, you are at the westernmost edge of the Eurasian plate. In winter it also offers a great view, especially after dark when the northern lights reign supreme on the sky. When snow covers the lave field and the days are short, the landscape becomes almost surreal and offers some great photo opportunities. The village of Vik or Vikheimyrdal is the southernmost village in Iceland, located on the main ring road around the island, around 180 kilometers by road southeast of Reykjavik. Despite its small size, it is the largest settlement for some 70 kilometers around and is an important staging post, thus it is indicated on road signs from a long distance away. It is an important service center for the inhabitants of and visitors to the coastal strip between Skógá and the west edge of the Mýrdalsandr glacial Atwash plain. In 1991, the U.S. journal Islands magazine counted this beach as one of the 10 most beautiful beaches on Earth. Its stretch of black basalt sand is one of the wettest places in Iceland. The cliffs west of the beach are home to many seabirds, most notably puffins which burrow into the shallow soils during the nesting season. Offshore lie stacks of basalt rock, remnants of a once more extensive cliffline Reykjanesfjall, now battered by the sea. There is no landmass between here and Antarctica and the Atlantic rollers can attack with full force.